If you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me, Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon. Great, amazing Friday to you. Rise and shine up and at 'em. It's a phenomenal new day, a day filled of infinite possibilities. And I want you to know that I desire for you to make this day ridiculously amazing. I'm not talking about just like, it's okay, it's all right. Ridiculously amazing, right? Because it's what we speak. It's how we feel, it's what we project, and what we believe. And I want you, no matter what the scenario is, whatever it is that is in front of you, whatever you believe are challenges for you, that they are overcomable. That'll make that word up? That you can overcome them. Whatever it is. I'm just telling, whatever it is, you have to have a winning mindset. That, for me, I believe is the biggest part of our process. And I'm going to digress a minute. And okay, folks are calling, I see you. I'm going to digress for 1 second because I believe a bigger part of that in the conversations that we have is a mental health that I want us to have, but it's also a physical health. Everyone, I need you to be committed to being the healthiest you can be. And no matter what that means, I need us to do the work. So if it's you getting up a little earlier to do a walk, if you just in your house doing stretching, doing yoga, doing something that can help your cardio, to get you in an energized state physically, I believe that it will enhance your mental capacity as well. Because the truth is, when you get all of these things going, you feel better. You feel invigorated, you feel rejuvenated, and that's what I want for us. And maybe not just because I'm on this, gigs, on the zigs, like what do they call it, on the zigs, on this like health thing, that's my thing. I'm doing meat once a week, and that's just my thing, and vegetables and beans and protein, all that kind of stuff, because you really realize that all that other stuff you don't need to live. You really don't. All the stuff that you think you need and you're putting in your body, you really don't. And it's a mindset. It's a commitment to do something different. And then it's the exercise. So either you create an opportunity where it's either early in the morning for you. In the morning, it has to be for me. Because by the time I get in, it might be 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then it's time to go to sleep. So I was having a conversation with a phenomenal young lady yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, did you watch this show?" I said, "I don't even see TV anymore. I don't see TV. I come in the house, I'm thankful to be there, I put everything down, I get comfortable, and then it's time to go to bed. So I pick up a book, but no TV. But suffice to say, I just want that for us. I'm excited to get up. I run on the treadmill every morning. I used to run in the community. You all know, and great morning to a lot of you in this great region that we live in, because I used to see a lot of you in the morning. And then when I would go to the store, people would comment that I didn't know, that I didn't see, and said, "Oh, I missed you this morning." Or normally you come around 6 o'clock, and I didn't. And I started thinking, okay, Collette, that might not be the safest thing if people know your schedule and you don't know who they are. So whether they're looking out for you because it's a safety measure, and I appreciate that, or it's some other stuff, so suffice to say, I only run in the house now. But I encourage everyone, please do that for you, because it's a healthy us. Remember, everything about this year is different for us. How we look at things is going to be different for us. No matter what it looks like, we're always going to dig deeper. There's always going to be more to it. And then from the physical perspective, what it looks like doesn't have to be that way. We can be healthy. You don't have to have the high blood pressure. You don't have to be on all the medications. You don't have to have that. That doesn't have to be your life. And so maybe I'm asking you this morning to assess, like all the things that we assess in the conversations. We're talking about Michigan politics this week. I want that same assessment for your life, for you. And so maybe we'll think better and do better and make better life choices when we are conscious about us. And a lot of you all say, well, Collette, you can't, it can't be we if you focus on me. No, I have to be good for me in order to be good for we. It starts with me. Then it's we. So when I'm good for me, then I'm good for us. But you can't bring a half person, a non-conscious person, in all aspects to a conversation and expect them to be able to contribute. I think that's probably a definition of insanity. Don't you think? Yeah, I'm just saying. So that is just my Health 101 tip for this morning. I'm feeling good and rejuvenated and invigorated because I did my run this morning. And I just want you to feel that same way too. I want you to feel that anything is accomplishable. How's that? And that you can do anything. But we know that we can do all things. That is what we should be supposed to walk in. So let me give an overview, and Collette, as I see you this morning. And I'm going to give us a recap. So again, I do this because I try to set the tone for those of you who maybe missed the conversation yesterday or aren't sure where we're going with this. For this month, we've been assessing the historical perspective of people of color, specifically Black folk in America. And Black folk in America because we are the originators and the original citizens of America, not because we were brought over here and all those other shenanigans that people try to get you to buy into. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the historical legacy that has happened upon us in these Americas based on others' greed and desire to control and fear of our superiority. Yes, I said it. Fear. Fear caused the assassination of Dr. King. Fear caused segregation. Here, and of course, we talked about warrior Winnie Mandela in Africa. Fear caused that. Fear caused lynchings. We talked about the Equal Justice Initiative in Alabama. Fear caused those killings ongoing. When we mentioned Mary Turner on yesterday, who was standing up for her rights of her family, and with her pregnant self, then they took her, burned her, lynched her, cut open her belly, then stomped the child. Fear of the power of a people from an inferior group to have to try to control by any means. And I believe it's that same fear that then led to these politics that we've discussed in Michigan. And I showed a clip, a beginning of the clip from Rachel Maddow's show that talked about the onset of politics in Michigan and now what it looks like for us. And so I wanted us to talk about it because we're in a political season right now. For those of you, if you are interested, there's going to be a meet and greet this morning at 12 noon at the Dabo Sheffield Center. That's 12048 Grand River Avenue. It's right on the corner of Grand River and Wyoming with gubernatorial candidate Sri Tanandar. That's going to be at 12 noon. It's a meet and greet. So you all can come out. You can ask questions. You can have him live and in color. Because let me just say, I don't see where any of the other candidates are. I don't see them. I don't see anyone who's buying for your attention. We talked about yesterday. I have the article. There are 14 individuals who are running. 14 candidates are running for governor. How's that? And I don't believe that any of them have dared touch down in this region to have a real conversation with the people of the great city of Detroit. That is just, I know it. I know it to be true. And so at the end of the day, we're going to be educated through this station, this wonderful WHPR TV 33. We're going to be educated. So when it's time for you to go in that voting box and pull that little shade across in the back and you're ready to put in your vote, your voice, you're going to be educated. And you're going to understand that when you're in that booth, that is not the be all to end all. It's a part of the process. And as we talked about on this show, process. We have to understand the process. Because if we don't understand the process, we'll forever be behind the 8 ball looking for someone to save us, looking for someone to implement something that's going to benefit us, when the truth is these Americas, as they established them, were never meant to benefit us, everyone. We're not going to get the 40 acres and a mule. It's not happening. But what you can do is make better decisions for what's presented in front of you and learn. Learn and think. Think and grow rich. And so then if you don't understand how to make these elected officials work for you, because all it is a job. We talked about that yesterday. Everyone wants this title. I told you, guess what? You can have a title right now. You don't have to be elected from anybody. You can just start walking around calling yourself something. And before you know it, folks will start calling you that too. Everyone here is more concerned about a title as they introduce themselves, as they present themselves, as they believe it's going to validate their existence in this space other than the work. People can't spend time talking about the work because they're not doing any work. All they're doing is trying to convince you that if you give them the opportunity, they'll do the work. But how can I give you the opportunity to do the work in an established system that you have no control over? Did you hear what I said? The people that we elect and select into these offices don't have control. They have a vote. And as the clip will show you, we're going to get back to the clip in its entirety. They're running through the vote. Let me just tell you, they're running through it. So if indeed you believe that the person that you elect and select, that your be all to end all is going to be them in that chamber, whether it is city council, whether it is up in Lansing, whether it is in D.C., is going to be that one vote is going to save you, no, ma'am and sir. Sorry. And for those of you who are putting all this energy into the 13th congressional seat, stop. Vote, but realize you still need to do the work. Because whoever replaces the Honorable John Conyers is not going to have the seniority that he had. They're not going to move in his positions. They're not going to move in the circles and have privy to the meetings that he had privy to. They're not. They're a freshman congressional person, and they're going to have to build their seniority. So that's a direct reflection on what you believe the expectation is going to be. But if you don't understand the process and you don't understand what it looks like and what actual role they have to play for you, you'll be on the wheel having the expectation that they're going to do all these things that they can't do. Not because they don't want to do them, but they can't. It's not established that they can. It is a vote. It is one voice. And the truth is, we don't do enough locally to maximize those opportunities. Why do we act like that the be-all to end-all is in these chambers? We act like the be-all to end-all is down in city council on the 13th floor. We act like the be-all to end-all is in the chamber in Lansing. We act like the be-all to end-all is if you're flying into D.C. and you're sitting in the congressional space. We believe that that is everything for us. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. It has never been, nor has it proven to you on today that it is. Because none of that is changing the immediate dynamics in your life right now. None of it. And if you can tell me that something's different, you can give me a call. 313-868-0342, 313-868-0351, 313-868-4336. You can just say, no, Collette, that's not true. I can tell you right now how my sitting here, waiting for the people that I have either elected or selected to do something better for me, and it's happened. You can give me that example, and I will acquiesce. Because our job here is to what? Educate, enlighten, and empower. So if you've enlightened me on something else that makes sense and it is proven and then it becomes factual and that I can identify to something tangible, because we act like just because something is a fact based on a statistic that then the tangible dynamic is what we have to walk in. We have to live in that space. We have to live in the space that the unemployment rate is high and all this stuff based on what they report. How do you know it's high? How do you know? It's based on what someone who created the number to justify a position put on a piece of paper and fed to you so then you will buy into it. You don't know that to be true. Think, people. Think is all I'm asking. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a position. Everyone is fighting for a position. So you think that there is a reason not behind why there's sensationalism in the media to get you to buy in, to believe the stories that they're telling you? You believe that? Do you understand that? That's like having a conversation saying that the green lights that are at the gas stations aren't helping to deter crime. Folks want you to believe, the media wants you to believe that that's helping. It's not helping to deter crime. Well, guess what? If there wasn't a camera there before, having the presence of a camera that's operable can only help. It can only be an addition. Did you think about that? The truth is, sitting here talking about the development of a downtown region, do you know that it can only benefit the city? It's only going to increase property values. It's only going to have a trickle-down effect at some point. It doesn't mean it has to happen as quickly as you think that it is. But what I believe it should should happen for you is that you create a consciousness that says, you know what? Things are changing around me. There's a wind and an air and things are changing. And so because it's changing, because the spotlight is there, because there's a higher level of consciousness in development and redevelopment and growth, maybe in my little neck of the woods, I should do something different. How's that? I should allocate the resources that I have to make my block better, to make my house better, to make my immediate community better, not based on what they're going to do. Because you don't have to have money to have a broom and get out there and sweep. You don't have to have money to get out there and cut your grass. You don't have to have money to get out there and pick up the paper. You don't have to have the money to do those things that beautify the area in which you live, that change your psyche. Because if you don't believe that what you see has an impact on who you believe you are in the environment in which you're in, you're sadly mistaken. And it's what you see from the visual, it's what you see from the TV, it's what you see from the paper. It has an impact on what you believe to be true. It shapes your reality. So if you're only allowing people to feed you with negative information, if you only allow your visual to be of negative things, what do you think is going to ultimately spew out of your mouth? Negativity. Oh, we can't. Oh, it won't. Oh, stop. I can't even think of those negative. I can't. It is not part of my psyche. It's not. And so I'm saying today that that's where we are. We're at a space of looking at it for what it is, specifically as it pertains to Michigan politics. It goes even to the educational system. We've been going back and forth. Do you realize that all the issues that we've had have nothing to do with the education of our children? It has to do with the power and the control of people who want to allocate monies for contracts and people to then say it's a new plan. I have a new group now. It's going to be a new person over you to tell you what to do. Stop. When has any of that trickled down to the day-to-day educational needs of our young people? And so if you believe that the only opportunities that they should ever have is being educated in a classroom, shame on you. The education should be in the home. And it's the proper education. I am sick and tired of seeing all these little kids knowing how to do all the dances and all the words to the songs. And so my thing is, if you're using that as your learning method, as your teaching tool, I need them to know how to spell all the words to the song. So if there's a little girl who's singing, you got to be careful with me. Cardi B, I need you to be able to spell careful with me. I need you. Do you all realize that that's a teaching tool? So if you're going to be blasting the music in the car and the kids know all of it and they know how to milli rock, can you spell it? Can you use those methods as teaching tools? Are you conscious of that? Because all they are little computers taking it in. That's all they're in. So if that's what you're feeding them, at least make them know how to spell the words because they can sing them. If they're dancing to the songs, at least make them understand and can articulate what it is that's going on, because we're not spending time trying to sit there and teach them. I told you all, we grew up in the summertime. Great morning, parents. My dad had us sitting in there reading a dictionary. Did you hear what I said? We sat in the summertime. At 10 years old, he had me reading James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, in the summertime. Words, that's what my first word was, proclivity. Do you know I remember that? Okay? So it is what you choose to put into the child. At the time, my brother and I didn't understand it. You all know that my dad is a disabled police officer. He got hurt on the job, and we just thought that there was just something going on in his psyche, and we're just going to sit here and do what he says. And he told us, you might not understand why I'm doing this, but when you get older, you will understand, and I promise you, it is the best thing he could have done for us. And I get tickled now because I think about if indeed I were a birth parent that I would probably be a tyrant to my poor children. They probably wouldn't. They wouldn't have a chance probably at anything social because I would just feed those little people with any and everything. They would just probably say, "Mama, just stop right now. Like, I got it." I'd just be feeding them with all the languages. There's no way a 4-year-old shouldn't be fluent in Spanish. There's no way with everything that is multicultural around here. Stop, you got, come on. I need us to think. I need us to understand it. I need us to do better. So what I'm going to do, I see the other lines are lit. I really want us to get to this clip. So, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask everyone to be patient, okay? Be patient. Because I want you to be able to complete the conversation based on the entirety of the clip. So we're going to go back to the clip from yesterday. I want us to see that. And then we're going to go to the line. So be patient. This is our 2 hour of power today. So we can go into the 8 o'clock hour and continue that conversation as well. We can talk about whatever you want. But as of right now, we're going to go to the clip. Let's see what else Rachel Maddow has to say about Michigan politics. All right?
Okay, we think we've got a scoop here, a story that nobody else has figured out. It starts in Michigan. In the early 1960s, Michigan reworked its constitution a little bit. They had a constitutional convention. That guy you recognize on the left, that's Mitt Romney's dad, George Romney. He chaired that convention before he became governor of the state. Now, one of the reasons they had this constitutional convention back then, one of the things they thought needed tinkering with in their state constitution, was a specific question about when bills quote, no act shall take effect until the expiration of 90 days from the end of the session at which it was passed.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Top of the morning to you. It is Friday. For those of you who are just now tuning into Coffee and Conversation Group, great, amazing morning to you. We have finished the first half of the hour. I think that we have set the tone for what Michigan politics looks like for us, the mindset that we need to have, being clear about what we're doing in our leading blacks situation, and just where we are. And now it's time for you to kind of sound off, if you will. And I threw a couple other topics in there prior to the break. Bill Cosby, if you want to talk about that, if you believe that it was just at his 80-some years and now he's been what? The topic headline says, Bill Cosby, retrial verdict, guilty on all 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. We're going to have a conversation about that. I have a problem with it. I'm just going to let you know I have a problem with it. Maybe not for what you think. And then Detroit Funeral Home for deplorable conditions. If you cannot bury your beloveds correctly, we can't do that? Like, so I'm just throwing that in there too. But I guess if we can't get the everyday dynamics of our lives right, then the afterlife in dealing with the shell, I guess we can't get that right either. Let me go to the line and see what you have to say. Great, amazing morning to you. Thanks so much for your patience.
How you doing today?
Amazing. How are you?
All right.
Great.
I gotta give a shout out to TV33,
Yes.
Comcast, Channel 91, WAPR,
Yes.
Detroit Highland Park. Thank you, Mr. Watkins, for having the TV.
Yes.
I'd like to give a shout out to all the TV shows.
Yes.
Rest in peace, J.E.
Yes.
And thank you for showing that good Miss Collette Ransom.
You're welcome.
And you look marvelous at the daily TV show. But thank you for showing that clip.
Sure.
In my life, you know what you did in showing that clip?
What?
Well, you showed part of it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You showed the whole part today.
Mm-hmm.
Any generational resident here that resides in Detroit, if they saw that clip, they should know that there are people that are not state government that don't respect them at all.
Sure. Yeah.
And I can't say it no clearer than that.
Yeah.
This not was something that was shown on local television, state television. This was something that was shown on national TV. It showed all of the communities that had a 51% minority population, whereas our state said that we could not financially manage ourselves. So we're going to do it for you.
I don't know. Well, stay there for a minute, A-Mile. Let me ask you. Was it so much that, do you think that there wasn't a conscious thought that the municipalities couldn't manage themselves or that they just didn't care. That government didn't care if you could or not. Because the truth is, there's so many municipalities that were missing revenue sharing from the state that if they had gotten those monies that the state was supposed to give them, then they could have addressed the debts that they had. So do you think that it was that they cared or that they could? They could just come in and take. They could just come and take. What do you think about
that? That was based on the leadership. Meaning, I opened up that book called Tools of Success.
Okay.
During the break. You know the first thing that came to pop up?
What?
Leaders enhance their whole team. Mm-hmm. You've been saying for over the last 2 years that when it comes down to certain parts of leadership of government, they don't include us, they don't respect us. You've been saying that for over 2 years.
Yeah.
That clip that you showed today validates that. That's from my point of view. That's from your point of view.
Sure.
But from the point of view of somebody sitting back objectively looking at this, our state, the state of Michigan, and saying, wow. Because when it comes down to somehow this executive order has been passed, even without the required numbers, and nobody's questioned or disputed, it goes back to when I was with Collette when he ran for office. Okay. And when they changed the district for the city of Detroit, nobody said or did nothing.
All right.
There's no way in the world Grove Point and Birmingham are supposed to be in the same district. Our district goes from Hampton and Highland Park all the way to Wayne.
Right.
Look at that on the map.
Sure.
So this is the thing is this. You look for good, you find good. You look for bad, you find bad. We, residents of the state of Michigan, if you really have a problem with that, you need to try to do something about it.
Okay.
That was the whole mindset I could have started. I wanted people to start having their kids, senior citizens, start going their favorite politician.
Okay.
Or favorite candidate for running for office.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, that will make anybody and everybody aware in the household. Mm-hmm. If you throw in a picture of a paper, you're going to know something about them besides the book. Just something.
You should. I have to ask you. You referenced the paper, right? And people reading the newspaper? Is that what you just referenced? Did I hear that correctly?
No, I'm saying when it came down to that, come down to drawing your favorite politician.
Okay.
I'm saying as a child.
Okay.
Or as a senior citizen. Or as a family unit.
Okay.
Drawing a picture and then going somewhere and publicly displaying.
Okay. I see. I was going to ask.
That is one of the easiest ways to get the community to get involved with these people running our state.
Sure. Or maybe let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You made a great point. You said if you look for good, you'll find good. If you look for bad, you'll find bad. So what happens when you look for truth?
You have to do a reality. See, that goes to the aspect of it's not about me fooling you or about you fooling me. It's about me not fooling myself. Huh. Ever since I stepped into my world in the late 80s, that was the first thing.
All right. So when you're looking for truth, everybody, Amala said it. So when you're looking for truth, you got to look at reality. Because the truth is the reality. And so based on what it is that you see, not what they say, but what you see, then maybe that shapes how you act. But I believe the truth...
Have you ever been to Ben Harbor?
I have.
Okay,
for me, and let me say this much.
I haven't been to Ben Harbor in 20 years.
Let me just say, I believe Ben Harbor is like a tale of two cities. Well, and every urban community, if you will, it's like a tale of two cities. You go to that other piece, it's like the St. Joe's part, but it's the Ben Harbor part, and you have the affluence and everything. It doesn't look like the dire straits of the city. And then, of course, you have the community. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
And that polarized mindset goes over so many areas, not just here in the state of Michigan. I'm talking about throughout the country.
Sure.
Meaning, all you got to do is cross the little river in St. Joseph County. When you go to the city of St. Joseph to Denton Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay? And I just wish that a lot of people would really spend more time traveling our state and creating their community as a place of tourism. Meaning, all the different communities that you saw on that list, we, the residents of the state of Michigan, don't see those places as tourism.
Okay.
That's one of the easiest reasons why people are able to take these communities over in the manner they do.
Well, let me say this much. No, stay there for a minute. We don't travel Detroit. There are people in Detroit that have grown up on the west side that don't know anything about the east side, don't know anything about southwest side, don't northwest side. We function in silos. So, folks, same thing for the east side. Never go over to the east side. When I first came back here after college, someone said, well, Collette, you can talk to someone. You can look at how they dress and tell what part of the city they come from. I'm like, oh, no, you can't. Well, yes, you can. Let me just say, because we function in silos. Each part of our cities has a different culture. We have a different conversation. We are worlds within worlds that are not connected, and then we're disconnected from the totality of what the city represents. 8 Mile, and on that note, I think that's a good point. I think that what you triggered that conversation. Let me wrap up, because I promise I'm going to get everyone in today, and all the lines are lit. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Collette.
Thank you so much.
You have an amazing day.
You too as well. So, he makes a great point. So if we then would go to relate to all the other municipalities that are in the same struggles that we're in, that are in the same challenging dynamics that we're in, to realize that maybe we're more alike than we are separate, maybe there could be some collective unity in that. I know he positioned that under the space of a tourism, but I believe it's just a visit. Like, do we go to other places? Well, no, because we don't even go outside of our comfort zones in the silos of the city in which we live. That's a great point. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your patience. Great morning to you.
Good morning, fellow Patriot.
Good morning, Patriot.
You said you hit the hammer on the nail, because I have a perspective of living on both sides of town. I grew up first part of my life on the east side.
Okay.
And then I moved to the west side. But I never thought Detroit as a separate city to me.
Right.
I thought it was one whole city.
Right.
Because I've met people from the east side. You can't tell from conversation that they lived on the east side,
right,
or how they dressed.
Right.
I don't understand why folks are scared to come on the east side, and some folks scared to come on the west side.
Right.
Because there's some good folks on both sides of town, the southwest side of Detroit as well.
Yes.
But I wanted to talk about the region matter, because we have two legal eagles that come on WHPR on Tuesday at 9 o'clock. That's been saying this for some years now, that it takes 2/3 of the legislators to get a bill immediate effect.
Yes.
And I personally heard them challenge some of these legislators at the Hood Research meeting.
Okay.
And I just don't know, Collette. We just got to send people up there that got some stones. They're ready to challenge the rules that it came.
Sure.
And unfortunately, we got folks, like you were saying, they depend on this paycheck that they're getting from the citizens of Michigan, because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Money for the citizens of Michigan to feed their, I guess, greed thirst.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I just don't understand when democracy has been threatened, that it doesn't matter to anybody here. And to me, it's dangerous. And you've heard me say this, that when the Sandy Hook children got shot down, 92% of Americans said, hey, do something about it.
Right.
As well as the National Rifle Association members, to the tune of 82%.
Yes.
And nothing gets done.
Yes.
We are living in dangerous times in America when the people's business is not being taken care of.
Well, stay there. Stay there, Patriot. Stay there for a minute. Stay there for a minute. Stay there for a minute. Let me ask you, do you, and I'm just asking you, Everyone, just indulge me for a minute because the conversation that you give me just triggers so many different things in my mind. So, do you ever think that the establishment of this government was ever meaningful for the business of the people? Or was the conversation that? So it's easy for me to say to you that I'm doing this for you, but the truth is everything that I'm actually doing, the laws that I'm actually creating, the policies that I'm actually creating and implementing and passing don't benefit you.
That's not always been true,
Okay.
Collette,
Okay.
because the business of America have been taken care of by really conscientious men and women. The people who had resources to make changes, and most of the time you need resources to make changes.
Sure.
So the people that have resources have done it. I guess it's a PBS special or a National Geographic special where it says the builders of America.
Yes, who built America? The Rockefellers, the Carnegie Mellon. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So those guys understood
right.
what it took to make it happen so that America can grow. So they laid a foundation of industry, and also, I guess they put the transportation together, and they know what it would take to move the economy. Now it seems like we're in a stagnant place where the economy cannot grow any further unless we go across the water to make it grow.
Okay.
But that's not true.
But interesting. Stay there for a minute. And if you all have not seen those segments, I really implore you to do that. But if you recall, Patriot, in one of those segments, Carnegie had to appeal before the Senate committee, and he just poo-pooed on all of them. He had no respect for the elected officials. His position was he had more money and he bought them anyway. So, does that say anything about what politics has looked like in America anyway?
Pretty much that's it. It's millionaires have dictated for some time how this government should be ran.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the people don't know how much power they got, because when the people rise up, things can't, no matter the amount of money that anybody has, if the people are upset enough, it doesn't matter how much money you got. I guess it was back in the 1600 France, they saw that, because if you was a aristocrat or even associated with an aristocrat, your head was coming off.
Right.
So it's revolution. I feel it's boiling right now. It's boiling to the point that it is going to be some real change in America happening right now. As we speak, I see it.
Okay.
With the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, it's just different movements out there to make some changes. So
stay there for a minute. So I'm going to switch over real quick on that comment. Do you think the Me Too movement is what nailed the coffin of Bill Cosby?
I believe so, because you had a public that was crying for blood.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Bill Cosby was the unfortunate target of that. He was in the right place at the wrong time.
Okay. I just wondered that, everyone. I just wondered if there was such a groundswell from all of the conversations and the inappropriateness and the abuse of power and authority and manipulation as it was presented, that with all of those conversations, there was that one person that was actually on the hook. And so this was the time to use him as an example. And I'm not saying, everyone, that if indeed that did happen, that it was right. To me, we're having two different conversations. Anytime someone uses their power and authority to oppress or change or manipulate someone, sexual or non, that's wrong. Let me say that. But then when you have this type of conversation and this type of groundswell and this type of energy, it's like a witch hunt, and they're looking for someone. But do you ever ever think it's so interesting how Cosby is now at 80 years old under this type of scrutiny, but then you have President Trump, and there's several women who have come out, and even one that is going to make this an issue across this country in her conversations, and nothing's happening.
Well, I'm waiting, Collette, to see who the next, I guess, subject is going to be for this Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Whether they be white or black. And that's important, too, to society.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that I wasn't happy that Bill Cosby, it was the blackface that was the initial, I guess, poster boy for this Me Too movement.
Yes.
Challenge.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was, it is what it is.
Yes.
Everybody has to speak for their own record.
Yes.
And Bill Cosby had to speak for his.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
And you can't take away from the great things that he has done for society.
Sure. Yeah.
But unfortunately, people gonna look at Bill Cosby as the poster for Me Too.
Sure. And let me just say that to you. You make a great point. And I really take exception to this article that was presented in the Detroit News, USA Today. And the gentleman stated that in the press conference, quote, "Today we're finally in a place to say that justice was done. We now know who the real Bill Cosby is." I take exception to that. Because at the end of the day,
I would too.
I take it, yes, and we should. Because this dynamic...
Who was the writer to that? Who was the writer? Probably
yes,
somebody
this piece, absolutely. Let me let everyone know that this piece was written by Maria Puente, Jean Sloan, and Jamie Deerwester for USA Today. It was published on April the 26th at 3:34 p.m. And so I'm just saying, like... And it's so interesting how, again, the media is so quick to assassinate the character of a black man. And everyone, did we ever question what the real issue is with Bill Cosby? Because I understood it to be that he had the monies and put some things together, that he was trying to buy a major network. He was trying to do some things behind the scenes that could change the imagery for what it looks like for people of color in these Americas. And so because of that, now all these other things came up. That's what I heard. Now, I don't have the actual resources to be able to validate those conversations with you, but it can't just be that someone all of a sudden just came up and said, by the way, now I'm going to go after Bill Cosby.
Well, I read the same things you did, Collette, about his financial investments.
Yes.
And how he was born, and I know how he was shut down when he went to buy NBC.
Yes. Yes.
So, anytime, black people try to make a move, they always try to stop them. But that's not just, I don't think it's personal. I think they try to stop anybody who tries to get in their way when they have a plan.
That's a good point. And so maybe the truth is, because we're people of color, we've been indoctrinated to believe that it is an attack on us because we are of color, but it's who's ever in the way that stops their ability to maintain their voice, maintain their control, maintain their power, maintain their revenue. So the truth is, we always look at it as a color position because we are people of color. Whereas they look at it that if I'm white and you're in the way and you're white, I'll roll over you too. I'll get you too. It makes no difference. And maybe that's a great point as well. Everyone, are you thinking through these conversations? Because as the Patriot referenced this, how America was built, the men who founded built America, that's true. They rolled over each other and had dissension with each other, and they were all white. So it was that if you're going to impact how I make money, and what did I share with you? The gentleman told his son, don't even trust me. So while you're out here in this world and we're doing what we do, you can't trust anyone, and you can't even trust me as your dad. So if that's the energy.
And I thinking, Collette, and I appreciate you coming on every week and trying to make the WHBR audience more sophisticated in their thinking. And because we got to stop getting out of this rut of thinking, because it's not doing us any good.
Right.
If we got this one monotone thinking
Right.
pattern.
Right. And you make a great point. And I don't want to offend anyone and everyone. And I'm going to get to all of you. I see all the lines lit. And I'm telling us right now, it's not thinking. The truth is we have not been thinking. We've just been regurgitating information. We've just been giving back information that has been inbred in us. And so much so that we haven't even analyzed, because thinking is the analysis of. So we have not analyzed what we spew out of our mouths. And once you really start analyzing what it is you say, then that means you're thinking. You'll say, does this make sense? How am I in a democracy and my vote's supposed to matter, and every time I look up, it's been questioned, it's being challenged? Why are we even still dealing with Voting Act right now? Are we serious? In 2018, how is that still a conversation? And in the midst of all the progression, for example, that we're supposed to have, especially in a democracy with the Democratic Party, why has that not been fixed? Do you think about those things? Like, why does the same conversations keep happening over and over again? Because everyone, that's the platform. If they fix it, it's not an issue and they can't leverage it or make money off of it, create a job off of it, get a check off of it. If I fix it, it's nothing that's going to be a problem. So maybe the real truth is I don't ever want it fixed. I want you to keep fighting for democracy. I want you to keep having to fight for your rights that you're supposed to have, because that's what keeps it going. That keeps those backdoor deals. That keeps those side checks going. That keeps me getting this faith-based money. That keeps me allowing them to come into my pulpit and have these conversations. It's not a separation between church and state. I'm going to let you just keep coming in here and keep talking, and then on the back end, other stuff is going on. You guys, are you thinking about that?
And that is the bottom line, Collette.
Okay.
But what is the alternative?
Sure.
If Malcolm says, is it going to be the ballot or the bullet?
The ballot or the bullet, yeah. Great point, Patriot. And I look forward to it, Patriot. We got another week or so, and then you'll be...
Yeah, next Thursday I'll be in the
Yeah, you'll be here, everybody. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, you have a great...
Okay, you have an amazing one as well. Everyone, we're talking. Don't you love it? We are analyzing. That means we are thinking, and then we are speaking. That's the conversations that we have. Let me go to the line. Thanks so much for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
I want you to look up the Kappa swindle.
Okay.
Kappa swindle.
Okay.
In that, it's telling you, the documentary is telling you how the government interferes with your corporations are stealing the tax dollars and putting it into these accounts.
Yeah.
And they're doing offshore investments, domestic investments, foreign investments.
Yes.
If you never pay taxes again, people, the money is being hidden in the CAFA that the media never talks about.
Come on.
All they talk about is these so-called budgets.
Yeah.
But your tax dollars are being secretly invested and hidden into these CAFA accounts that's supposed to make better schools, safety, services, roads, all the conditions that we're in now.
Yes.
They got trillions of dollars hidden. The introduction to CAFA, why you can't get ahead, wealth protection in an economic madhouse.
Nice.
Jury nullification.
Yeah.
Do we have enough criminals yet?
Right.
The myth of the central authority.
Yeah.
And the list goes on.
Yeah.
So your pulpit pimps and your politics that sit in seats, they're no more than bobbing heads. They talk about love, Lord, and Jesus, but they really serving Caesar.
Ooh.
So, we're in apartheid America that divides and keep us financially dumbed down because they constantly, they're stealing the wealth from the people and telling you that you don't have a right to water, food, housing, fresh air.
Yes.
And the list goes on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? And
you
you make...
to look up that CAFA account.
And you know I am.
Money's being stolen.
Yes. You know I am. And she makes such a great point. And let me just say this to you on the tax situation. Absolutely. So under my business models, I had to get my taxes current, right? So I'm doing all I need to do, submit it. Do you know I'm supposed to get refunds, right? So I was probably 4 or 5 years in the rears. I'll tell everyone. So I'm getting everything current. Do you know they sent me the notifications that said, well, this is what you were supposed to get, but because you were 3 years, we only allocate 3 years for you to be able to get your return back. So because it's beyond the 3-year term, you can't get your refund. And I said to myself, I'm just needing to understand, how is that possible? So you hold me accountable. I have to make sure I am accountable for my incomes and what this looks like, because if not, you'll audit me. There'll be consequences for that. I do that. It's time for me to get a refund, but you put a 3-year statute on me getting my monies back? But then where does my money go? So if you're not giving me my money back, who has my money? Did you understand? I was just like, well, how is that okay? Like, how do you put on a piece of paper to me that based on what I've paid into this system through work and through your taxation, that I'm supposed to get a return, but you put a time stamp on when I get my return? So where is the money?
They're enriching themselves. The profiteers is the government in cahoots with the corporations. Nothing more than modern-day profiteers. And you already know there's about 4 to 8 families that run the world.
Absolutely.
So, you can vote and hope and pray and please and bleed all you want.
Right.
Until you understand who the corporates are. And,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up in numbers to shut down these profiteers.
Yeah. Great. Yes, absolutely. And well, you know what? It starts with the conversation. So I'm so fortunate that we can have the conversation, everyone, because the conversation shapes the mindset. And so if you are not able to analyze, if you cannot assess, then you will not think. You'll just keep giving back what they give you, and you'll believe that to be true. Yeah. But not on this airwaves in our time together. We are going to think, analyze. So we're analyzing, and then we're thinking, and then we're talking. So I appreciate it. I mean, you ought to just adding these.
Controlling the media. Yeah. Your government is not saving you from corporations because they're in on it.
Sure.
Is our governmental hiding trillions of American dollars. Girl, this stuff will blow you out of the water. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling. Everyone, do you realize that? Have an amazing day. Every conversation gets us closer to a different truth. And you just think about it. We just talk about it. It just comes out seamlessly because it's the sincerity of our intent. It is the true nature of which we are here today, to be educated, enlightened, and empowered. We take a subject matter and we're going to dissect it because ultimately it has an immediate impact on who we are. Let me go to the line. I'm going to get everyone in before our time is up. Thank you for your patience. Amazing Friday to you.
Good morning, Queen.
Great morning, King.
Excellent subjects. And to piggyback off the previous sister,
yes,
she's absolutely right. And Queen, what I think about as far as when it comes to how do we sit back and just dealing with the banking situation in this country.
Yes.
When you talk about the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
In that in itself, if we only knew about the Federal Reserve and how the money in this country is allocated, and I mean, how do we sit back and let the government exist and we continue to look for politics? I see politicians as prostitutes.
Ooh.
And they look for jobs to buy them.
Nice.
They dance around, they put on their best wares.
Nice.
And they look for the job. I mean,
that's good. Wait, King, stay there. King, stay there. If you all don't get that takeaway on today, that the politicians are the prostitutes and the people are the Johns. Man, don't you get a visual from that? I get it, because you're right. I can see all these people now. When you go into these different rooms, they have their best outfits on, and they're looking their best, and they're smiling at you, and they'll come kiss the babies and shake the hands because everyone's trying to get picked up. Man, King, nice.
That's
nice.
You know, Queen, I go back to just before 9/11.
Okay.
And, Donald Rumsfeld made an announcement, I think it was the day before 9/11, and he announced it, I think it was something like $3 trillion that came up missing out of the defense budget.
Okay.
How does trillions of dollars come up missing?
Nice.
Trillion. I mean, not when I lose $1, I miss it. Queen.
Right.
You talking about trillion? I can't even count to a trillion.
Sure.
But it's like Malcolm say, we've been took, we've been hookwinked, we've been bamboozled.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Have a blessed weekend.
You too. I
you.
appreciate you, King. Love you. I mean, everyone, at the end of the day, again, it's not saying we know the society in which we are in. We understand what government has done. We understand the propaganda and the branding and the imagery that has been instilled in us since birth of what we're supposed to believe, who we are, what we do, how we buy into this society, what we have to do to be successful. All that's been presented to us. So now we just have an awakening. It's like the Matrix, the red or the green pill. Let me go. Take this call. You're the last caller for today. Thanks for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Collette.
Oh, good morning, Kim. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Amazing, thank you.
I called yesterday towards the end of the show because I was angry.
Yes.
I'm better now.
I'm glad you had a chance to think through it and calm back. Anger is not the best emotion. Sure.
Yes. And I still have an answer for what or how to solve our situation.
Okay.
But just for now, I just wanted to piggyback off your last two callers.
Okay.
Or your last caller about the business of America.
Yes.
And I pretty much have to say about the same thing. The business of America is just to keep us pacified while they're sitting in their towers and doing their dirt and collecting their money.
Yeah.
The business of America, they make you think it's about the people. It's not about the people. All they're doing is pacifying us with things.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Buy this, do this. Some of us who are of fairer skin get more things.
Yes.
But all it is about things.
Yeah.
And that's just basically what I wanted to say.
Okay.
And I wanted to say, have a great weekend.
Oh, have an amazing weekend as well.
Show.
No, please, and I love us having a show, because the truth is, without you all, there would be no show. I could sit up here and just talk to myself, and I don't have to do that to be in front of a TV, but it's about your willingness to be open to the subject matter and to have the real conversations. And then out of that, we can have takeaways that afford us the opportunity to make better life choices. You make a really great point about the stuff. I posted a piece on social media. I saw a picture. It had Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And they looked like they were at a sports basketball game. And the caption was, $162 billion in the room, and you don't see a Gucci belt. Right? And so I reposted that, and I said it's interesting about the perception of wealth and actual wealth. And so which one do you want to be? Do you want to look fancy and not have wealth? Because I think Warren Buffett was in a Hawaiian type shirt and they had on khakis, but you all know the wealth that they have. And so someone commented to me, well, the Gucci is all about style, and so I wouldn't have said that. I said, well, my post, my conversation. So for me, it is. Them jokers had on regular little belts that probably cost, and even if they were a substantial amount of money for a belt, it wasn't a $500-600 belt. And if you want that, that's fine. But do you own the stock? Why? Understand why you do what you do. Is all I'm saying. Because if you, to your point, if you want the validation through the stuff, then I need to understand what that gets you. So I don't have a problem with it. And if you walking around,
one more quick point.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, based on everything you just said, just briefly, what happened to Bill Cosby?
Sure.
And so many prominent black men, it's like a public lynching. I mean, it's like a public lynching. It's like, look at what we will do to you if you try to acquire NBC, if you try to acquire anything that we don't think you should have. And I really got to say that the first time he tried to acquire something, his son was killed.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers.
Yes, I remember when his son was killed.
He tried to make an acquisition.
Yes. Good point.
Killed.
Good point. Yes.
So this is like a public lynching. This is like, look at what we will do to you if you get too big.
Yes. Great point.
But
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so in the midst of all of that, maybe the real conversations are that we have to understand, get the wealth, whatever that looks like, and do things that they don't know about. And I'm not mad at him. I appreciate him wanting to purchase on a larger scale, but maybe he needed to do some other things. Maybe he needed to buy up some independent type of TV stations and radio stations and change the conversations that way. Sometimes we have to do things that they don't know about because we just can't do what they do. You understand their business model, but you can't do it because they're going to figure out a way because of their fear to stop us. So everyone, she's brought the conversation full circle. That's what we talked about on the onset at the 7 o'clock hour, the fear. And so the truth is, the challenges that people of color have, specifically black people in America, it is the fear that they have, the white folks have, those who created this America. It's the fear of who we are. And if we ever walked in and understood the greatness of who we are, because we built America, we blood, sweat, and tears sustain America. Now, how we do it, we can question because they transfer us into the prison systems, they take away. Those are different dynamics that we're talking about right now. That's where politics comes in. But the truth is, to thine own self be true. If you don't know who you are, anyone can do anything to you. And so I'm asking us on today to reawaken the truth of who we are. To understand that if people are fighting so much against us, it has to be a reason. So the truth is, when you sit and talk about who needs the Negro, they consistently need the Negro. America wouldn't be what it is without the Negro. There's a book, Who Needs a Negro, by Wilhelm. That's what the truth is on today. And so I'm imploring us to think about it, work through it. Our time is up. I appreciate all of you. We have come full circle, and I thank you for it. I hope that you think through it. I hope that you have an amazing rest of the day and weekend. And then we'll be prepared for further conversation next week. So make today ridiculously amazing. And I thank you for your time. See you next week.
you.